Ethan Parker's fingers danced across the hydroponic control panel, adjusting nutrient levels with the precision of someone who'd spent 15 years keeping plants alive in the harsh void of space. The botanical wing of Station Delta 9 hummed with the gentle whir of circulation fans and water pumps, his constant companions in the solitude of deep space. "Another successful batch," he murmured, admiring the vibrant purple leaves of his latest achievement, a strain of oxygen-producing flora that could thrive in low-light conditions. At 42, Ethan had earned a reputation as one of the most innovative botanical engineers in the Outer Ring colonies, though few knew the man behind the breakthroughs. The station's AI chimed softly. "Package arrival imminent, Dr. Parker. Delivery pod approaching Dock 7. Ethan's heart quickened. After months of negotiation and an astronomical sum of credits, his prize was finally arriving: seeds from the legendary ghost orchid of Kepler 186f, rumored to possess extraordinary adaptive properties. Such specimens were strictly regulated, but Ethan's credentials and research history had helped him secure the necessary permits. The delivery pod's decontamination sequence took an excruciating 20 minutes. Ethan paced the sterile receiving area, his reflection fractured across the curved metal walls. The pod finally clicked open with a soft hiss of equalizing pressure. Inside, instead of the expected sealed container, there was a crystalline capsule the size of a coffee table. It pulsed with a soft, azure glow. "There must be some mistake," Ethan muttered, reaching for his comm unit. Before he could make the call, the capsule's surface began to ripple like liquid glass. The glow intensified, and the crystal structure slowly reshaped itself, rising and flowing until it took on a humanoid form. Ethan stumbled backward as the crystalline figure solidified into a being unlike anything he'd ever encountered. She, for something in her form suggested femininity, stood slightly taller than him, her translucent body refracting light in mesmerizing patterns. Her features were delicate yet alien, with eyes that shimmered like opals and hair that moved like fiber optic strands. "Greetings, Ethan Parker," she spoke, her voice resonating like wind through crystal chimes. "I am Naira. I apologize for the deception, but I had no choice." Ethan's scientific curiosity warred with his shock. You're clearly sentient. This has to violate dozens of interstellar trafficking laws." "I arranged this myself," Naira explained, her crystalline form shifting subtly with each word. "Your reputation for discretion and ethical research made you the ideal recipient. I need your help, and in return, I offer knowledge that could revolutionize your work." Before Ethan could respond, warning klaxons blared throughout the station. The AI's voice crackled over the comm: "Unregistered biological entity detected. Containment protocols initiating." "Wait!" Ethan shouted, lunging for the override panel. "Authorization code Parker Delta 97. Cancel containment." The alarms fell silent, but Ethan's heart continued to race. "You have exactly 1 minute to explain why I shouldn't report this." Naira's form rippled with urgency. "My people, the Crystallos, have abilities your scientists have only dreamed of. We can alter environments at the molecular level, accelerate plant growth, and create sustainable ecosystems in barren wastelands. But we're being hunted, treated like resources instead of beings." The ghost orchid supplier, Ethan realized. "They're actually a front for those who would enslave my kind," Naira confirmed. "I tracked their communications, found your order, and saw an opportunity. Your research aims to help worlds flourish naturally. We share the same goal." Ethan ran a hand through his graying hair, years of solitary research warring with the unprecedented situation before him. "If you can do what you claim, I'll prove it." Naira approached one of his experimental plants, the one he'd spent months trying to optimize. Her crystalline fingers brushed its leaves, and the plant suddenly flourished, doubling in size as its cellular structure visibly strengthened. "Remarkable," Ethan breathed, his scanner already logging the impossible changes. "But they'll come looking for you. This station isn't exactly inconspicuous. No, Naira agreed, her form dimming slightly. But it is well respected and, more importantly, independent. I don't need permanent sanctuary, just time to share what I know. Your work could help free my people by proving we're more valuable as allies than slaves. The station's AI interrupted, Dr. Parker, incoming transmission from the delivery service. They're requesting confirmation of package receipt. Ethan looked at Naira, seeing not just a scientific marvel but a being fighting for her people's freedom. In his 15 years of isolation, he'd almost forgotten what it felt like to be part of something larger than himself. Confirm receipt, he told the AI. Package arrived as specified. Turning to Naira, he added, I'm probably going to regret this, but my father always said the best scientific breakthroughs start with someone breaking the rules. Welcome to Delta 9. Naira's form brightened, sending rainbow refractions dancing across the laboratory walls. Thank you. Though I should warn you, those who traffic in my kind are already aware of the switch. We have perhaps 3 days before they arrive. Then we better make them count, Ethan replied, already moving to secure his lab equipment. Show me everything you can do. If we're going to change 2 civilizations' futures, we'll need all the help we can get. As Naira began demonstrating her abilities, Ethan's mind raced with possibilities. He'd sought the ghost orchid to push the boundaries of botanical science. Instead, he'd found something far more precious, a chance to protect an entire species while transforming humanity's understanding of life itself. The lights of Delta 9 pulsed steadily in the void, giving no indication of the extraordinary partnership taking root within. But as Ethan would soon discover, the true challenge wasn't in keeping Naira's presence secret, it was in preparing for the storm that was racing toward them across the stars. The next 48 hours on Station Delta 9 passed in a blur of discovery and preparation. Ethan had converted his private quarters into a makeshift sanctuary for Naira, rerouting sensor feeds to mask her unique energy signature. The botanical lab had become their workshop, filled with the results of their remarkable collaboration. It's not just acceleration of growth, Ethan muttered, reviewing his latest scan results. The plants Naira had touched weren't just thriving, they were evolving, adapting to hostile conditions in ways that should have taken generations. You're actually rewriting their genetic structure in real time. Naira's crystalline form shimmered with what Ethan had learned to recognize as pride. My people evolved alongside the ancient forests of Crystallos Prime. We learned to shape life long before we learned to speak. Her luminescence dimmed. That's why they hunt us now. Tell me about your home, Ethan said softly, setting aside his tablets. In their frantic work, he'd avoided pressing her for details, but time was running out. They needed every advantage they could get. Naira moved to the observation window, her transparent form reflecting the starlight. Imagine a world where the very ground sings with life. Crystal spires that grow like trees, reaching miles into the sky. Forests of living gemstones that change color with the seasons. She touched the glass, creating intricate frost-like patterns. We were peaceful, focused only on nurturing our world's beauty. Then the mining ships came. The consortium, Ethan guessed, naming the powerful corporation that controlled most resource extraction in the outer rings. They called us living terraform engines, Naira's voice hardened. They captured dozens of my kind, forced them to transform dead worlds into profitable colonies. But their methods were brutal, draining my people's essence until they shattered. Her form rippled with emotion. I was a guardian of the crystal gardens. When they breached our sacred spaces, A sudden alert interrupted her story. Unidentified vessel detected at long range, the station's AI announced. Configuration matches known consortium patrol craft. They're early, Naira's form pulsed with alarm. We're not ready. Ethan was already moving. Maybe we are. Those plants you enhanced, their defense mechanisms are off the charts. If we can replicate that on a larger scale. He paused, seeing Naira's hesitation. What aren't you telling me? Naira's form swirled with conflicting colors. There's a reason the consortium's methods are so destructive. My people can reshape environments, yes, but doing so bonds us to the life we create. Those who are forced to terraform too quickly, too often. She gestured to a crack that had formed in her crystalline arm. We break. That's why you came to me, Ethan realized. You're not just looking for sanctuary. You need to heal. The process the consortium uses, it's like ripping out pieces of our soul. Each world they force us to transform takes more of our essence. I escaped before they could use me, but others. Her voice trailed off as the crack in her arm spread slightly. The station's AI chimed again. Second vessel detected. Analyzing configuration. Ethan made a decision. We're not running, and we're not hiding. Your people's gift isn't just terraforming, is it? It's symbiosis. Real transformation takes time, partnership. He gestured to his thriving laboratory. Look what we've accomplished in just 2 days by working together. What are you suggesting? We prove them wrong. Show them that sustainable transformation is more profitable than exploitation. Ethan pulled up the station's communications array. I've spent 15 years building connections with independent colonies. Colonies that are struggling to survive on worlds the consortium deemed unprofitable to terraform. Naira's form brightened with understanding. If we could demonstrate a better way. Better for everyone, Ethan agreed. But first, we need to survive the next few hours. He activated the station's seldom used defense protocols. I've got some ideas about that, too. Those crystal formations you created on the window? Let's think bigger. As they worked to fortify the station, Ethan couldn't help but smile. He'd spent his career trying to unlock nature's secrets through careful isolation and control. Now, watching Naira weave her abilities into his life's work, he realized true breakthrough came from connection, not separation. The approaching consortium ships had no idea they were about to face something unprecedented, a partnership between human ingenuity and Cristallo's wisdom. Delta IX's outer hull began to shimmer as Naira's modifications took hold, transforming the station's very structure into something both beautiful and formidable. They'll be in range in 3 hours, the AI updated. Perfect, Ethan said, watching crystal formations spread across his beloved hydroponics bay. That's just enough time to show them what real evolution looks like. Naira's form pulsed with renewed energy, the crack in her arm stabilizing as she worked in harmony with the station's existing systems. You know, she chimed, for a solitary botanist, you have surprisingly good tactical instincts. Plants taught me patience, Ethan replied, finalizing their preparations. And you're teaching me that sometimes the best defense is to grow something beautiful. The stars seemed to shine brighter through Delta IX's crystalline reinforcements, as if nature itself was eager to witness what would unfold when humanity's determination met Cristallo's grace. The next few hours would either mark the beginning of a revolution in interstellar relations or the end of both their stories. Either way, they would face it together, two beings from vastly different worlds united by a simple truth: life finds a way to flourish, even in the harshest conditions, when it's nurtured with respect and understanding. The consortium ships emerged from lightspeed like predatory birds, their angular hulls reflecting the light of distant stars. Station Delta IX hung seemingly vulnerable in the void, its newly crystalline modifications catching and refracting starlight in mesmerizing patterns. Incoming transmission, the station's AI announced. Ethan straightened his lab coat, a habit from countless remote conferences. Ready? Naira's crystalline form pulsed with determination. They won't expect us to answer openly. It may give us an advantage, however brief. Station Delta IX, this is Consortium Retrieval Vessel Dominion, a cold voice crackled through the comm, you are harboring stolen property. Power down your shields and prepare for boarding. Ethan activated the video feed, letting them see him standing proudly in his laboratory. This is Dr. Ethan Parker, Chief Botanical Engineer. I'm afraid there's been a misunderstanding. We have no stolen property aboard, only willing collaborators in a groundbreaking research project. The consortium commander's face appeared on screen, her cybernetic eye scanning visible wavelengths. Dr. Parker, you're interfering with a legitimate salvage operation. The Crystallos entity aboard your station is corporate property, registered under Consortium Patent 7249-X. Living beings can't be patented, Ethan replied calmly, even as his hands clenched behind his back. And what we've discovered here could revolutionize colonial development. Surely that's worth more than. You have 10 minutes to comply, the commander cut him off. After that, we'll be forced to take more direct action. The transmission ended. Ethan turned to Naira, who was already moving through the transformed station with fluid grace. They're powering up weapons, she announced, her crystalline senses detecting energy fluctuations. But they're being cautious. The hull modifications are confusing their targeting systems. Good. That buys us time for the next phase. Ethan pulled up a holographic display of the station's newly enhanced systems. The crystalline growths weren't just decorative, they formed an interconnected network that could channel and amplify energy in ways that defied conventional physics. The first impact rocked the station. Warning shot, Naira observed, her form rippling. They're aiming for the original docking ports, avoiding the crystal structures. They're afraid of damaging you, Ethan realized. You're too valuable to them. Not me specifically, Naira corrected, moving to one of the transformed botanical chambers. The ability I represent. They don't understand that what we've created here is beyond their control. The plants in the chamber had evolved dramatically over the past days. Through their partnership, Ethan and Naira had developed species that could not only survive in space but actively protect their environment. Crystalline flowers that absorbed radiation, vines that could repair hull breaches, spores that formed living shield matrices. Another blast rattled the station. Hull breach in Section C, the AI reported. Botanical defense systems engaging. Through the observation windows, they watched in awe as iridescent plants spread rapidly across the station's exterior, sealing the damage. The crystalline structures pulsed with energy, absorbing and redistributing the impact. It's beautiful, Naira whispered, her form glowing brighter as she connected with the living network they'd created. Consortium vessels are launching boarding craft, the AI warned. Ethan smiled grimly. Time to show them why that's a bad idea. He activated the station's transformed defense systems. Crystal formations shifted and bloomed, releasing clouds of microscopic spores into space around the station. The boarding craft flew straight into the clouds. Within seconds, their hulls began to sprout crystalline growths that interfered with their guidance systems. The small ships spun away, their pilots struggling to maintain control. Dr. Parker. The commander's voice returned, now sharp with anger. What have you done to my ships? Created life that protects itself, he answered simply. Just like the Crystallos do. You've been going about this all wrong. Force and exploitation will never yield the results you want. The consortium doesn't negotiate with. Actually, a new voice cut in, I think it does. Multiple ships dropped out of lightspeed around the station, independent traders, research vessels, and colonial representatives. The messages Ethan had sent during their preparations had borne fruit. This is Director Chen of the Colonial Science Coalition, one of the new arrivals transmitted. We've been monitoring this situation with great interest. Dr. Parker's work has always been exceptional, but what we're seeing here, the consortium might want to reconsider its position. Naira moved to Ethan's side, her crystalline form casting rainbow patterns across the laboratory. The crack in her arm had almost completely healed. They're not just here for the science, are they? Ethan shook his head. Every independent colony out here has suffered under the consortium's terraform-antax approach. What we've created, sustainable, organic growth that works with native environments, that's worth far more than quick terraform jobs that leave worlds dependent on corporate maintenance. The consortium ships hung motionless in space, outmaneuvered politically if not militarily. The commander's voice returned, notably more diplomatic. Perhaps, we could discuss a collaborative approach. We will discuss recognizing the Crystallos as sovereign beings first, Ethan countered. After that, we can talk about shared research initiatives. Under independent oversight. As the negotiations began, Ethan watched Naira interact with their transformed station. The plants they developed together weren't just innovations, they were proof that different species could enhance each other's potential without exploitation. You know, Naira chimed softly, when I first chose your station for sanctuary, I never imagined that we'd end up starting a revolution in interstellar botanical engineering? That I'd find a partner who truly understands what it means to nurture life rather than control it. The crystalline flowers around them bloomed in response to her joy, filling the station with living light. Outside, representatives from a dozen worlds prepared to witness the beginning of a new era in human-alien cooperation. It had taken a lonely botanist and a fugitive crystalline being to prove that the most powerful transformations come not from force, but from allowing life to flourish in its own unique way. 3 weeks after the standoff at Delta 9, Ethan found himself in an unfamiliar position, standing before the Colonial Science Coalition's emergency assembly. The Grand Hall of New Venus Colony buzzed with anticipation as representatives from 24 worlds gathered to witness something unprecedented. The principles are remarkably simple, Ethan explained, gesturing to the holographic display where one of their enhanced plants thrived in supposedly toxic soil. Working with Naira, we've discovered that sustainable terraforming isn't about forcing change, it's about awakening potential that already exists. Naira stood beside him, her crystalline form drawing gasps of wonder from the assembled delegates. She gestured gracefully, and the holographic plant evolved before their eyes, its structure adapting to protect against radiation while enriching the soil around it. My people have always known that life seeks harmony, she chimed, her voice carrying clearly through the hall. What Ethan helped me understand is that this harmony can be guided, enhanced through careful collaboration. A consortium representative rose, his corporate insignia gleaming. This is all very impressive, but the cost-benefit analysis shows that our method is significantly more efficient, Ethan interrupted, bringing up new data. The consortium's forced terraforming requires constant maintenance, regular resource injection, and typically fails within a decade. Our enhanced ecosystems are self-sustaining and actually improve over time. The assembly erupted in discussion. Ethan used the moment to steal a glance at Naira. The past weeks had changed them both. The crack in her crystalline form had fully healed, replaced by new growth patterns that seemed to shimmer with increased vitality. As for himself, gone was the isolated botanist who spoke only to plants. He'd found something he never knew he was missing. Dr. Parker, called out the representative from Mars Colony, your results are promising, but can they be replicated without a Crystallos present? Before Ethan could answer, the assembly hall's lights flickered. Emergency sirens blared. Multiple unauthorized ships dropping out of lightspeed announced the colony's defense system. Consortium military signatures detected. Naira's form pulsed with alarm. They're not here for me, she realized, scanning the incoming data. They're here for the other Crystallos. On the main display, security feeds showed a dozen crystalline beings being rushed through the colony's corridors, each accompanied by scientists from different worlds. Ethan's success had inspired others to free Crystallos from consortium facilities, but they'd moved too quickly, too openly. This is Admiral Voss of the consortium security fleet, a new voice boomed through the colony's comm system. Return our property immediately, or we will take decisive action. The assembly dissolved into chaos. But Ethan noticed Naira had grown perfectly still, her form resonating with a new frequency. "They're in pain," she whispered. "The freed ones, the consortium's methods left them fractured, desperate." Her crystal surface rippled with determination. "But together, we might be strong enough." Understanding dawned on Ethan's face. "Like the network we created on Delta 9, but larger?" Naira nodded. "If we can link them into a harmonic matrix, share the burden of healing." "Do it," Ethan said, already moving to the environmental controls. "I'll modify the colony's systems to support you, just like we did with the station." What happened next would be debated in scientific circles for years to come. The rescued crystallos began to resonate with Naira's frequency. Crystalline growth spread through the colony's agricultural sectors, but instead of causing damage, they enhanced and strengthened existing systems. The plants Ethan and Naira had developed served as conduits, creating a living network that connected and sustained them all. Through their combined powers, the crystallos began to heal. Their fractured forms stabilized, drawing strength from each other and the carefully cultivated ecosystem around them. The colony itself seemed to pulse with new life. Admiral Voss's voice returned, now uncertain. What are you doing in there?" Ethan activated the colony's external displays, letting the consortium ships see the transformation taking place. "Showing you what's possible when you work with life instead of trying to control it." The crystalline network had spread to the colony's outer layers, creating a shield more beautiful than any artificial defense. But it wasn't just protective, the formation actively improved the colony's environmental systems, strengthening its atmospheric processors and radiation shielding. "Your shareholders might be interested to know," Ethan continued, "that we've just increased this colony's productivity by roughly 300% without spending a credit on traditional terraforming equipment." The silence that followed was broken by the Mars representatives whispered, "How soon can you do this for us?" Naira's form brightened as she maintained the harmonic matrix. "That depends," she chimed, "on how quickly your worlds can learn to work with us as equals, not resources." The assembly's mood had shifted from fear to fascination. Even the consortium representatives were furiously taking notes, their profit-driven minds already calculating new possibilities. Ethan moved closer to Naira, marveling at how her crystalline surface now reflected not just light, but the living energy of the network she'd created. "You know," he said softly, "when I ordered those seeds, I thought I was looking for a way to improve life on other worlds. And instead, I found someone who showed me how to see the potential for growth in everything, including myself." The colony thrummed with new life around them, while in orbit, the consortium fleet faced a choice: adapt to this new paradigm, or become obsolete. Either way, the seeds of change had been planted, and they were already beginning to bloom. 6 months after the events at New Venus Colony, Station Delta 9 had become unrecognizable. The once sterile research facility now pulsed with crystalline life, its corridors lined with bioluminescent plants that responded to the emotions of those who passed. At its heart, the expanded botanical laboratory had become the galaxy's premier center for harmonic terraforming research. Ethan stood at his favorite observation window, watching ships arrive from across the sector. Each vessel carried scientists, diplomats, or crystallos seeking to learn the art of sustainable transformation. His reflection in the crystal-enhanced glass showed a changed man. Gone was the isolated researcher, replaced by someone who had found his place in a much larger story. "The delegation from Proxima B has arrived," Naira announced, her crystalline form flowing into the room like liquid starlight. Her presence still caught Ethan's breath, but now for different reasons than their first meeting. "Are they ready for what we're about to show them?" Ethan asked, turning to face her. Naira's surface rippled with what he'd learned to recognize as amusement. Is anyone truly ready to see their world's future transformed? Together, they made their way to the station's new central chamber, where representatives from a dozen worlds waited. The room itself was a testament to their partnership, a perfect fusion of human technology and Crystallo's artistry, where living crystal merged seamlessly with advanced hydroponics. "Welcome to the Harmonic Terraforming Initiative," Ethan began, addressing the assembled group. "What you're about to see isn't just a new method of planetary transformation, it's a new way of thinking about our relationship with the worlds we inhabit." Naira moved to the center of the chamber, her form beginning to resonate. The crystalline structures throughout the station responded, creating a symphony of light and energy. "For too long, my people were forced to reshape worlds through pain and sacrifice. But through our partnership with humans like Ethan, we've discovered a better way." The chamber's walls became transparent, revealing Delta IX's latest project. A small asteroid, once barren rock, now bloomed with life. Crystalline formations merged with organic growth in patterns that defied conventional science, creating self-sustaining ecosystems that could thrive in the void of space. "Each world has its own song," Naira explained, as holographic displays showed similar transformations taking place on colonies across the sector. "Our role isn't to override that song, but to help it find its fullest expression." The Proxima B ambassador leaned forward. "And the consortium? They've accepted this new arrangement?" "They didn't have much choice," Ethan smiled. "When your entire business model is based on controlling resources, it's adapt or die when those resources turn out to be sentient beings with better ideas." The newly reformed consortium had undergone its own transformation, shifting from exploitation to facilitation. Their vast networks now serve to connect worlds seeking harmonious development with Crystallos willing to guide the process. But the real breakthrough, Ethan continued, bringing up new data, wasn't just in terraforming technology. It was in understanding that true growth comes from connection. He glanced at Naira, their shared look speaking volumes. "When we stop trying to control life and start nurturing its natural potential, incredible things happen." As if to demonstrate, Naira interfaced with the station's systems. The chamber filled with a crystalline melody as she showed their latest innovation, plants that could communicate across light years through crystalline networks, allowing multiple worlds to share resources and support each other's development. "We call it the Harmony Network," she explained, her form glowing with pride. "A living web of worlds, each supporting the other's growth while maintaining their unique characteristics." The delegates murmured in appreciation, but Ethan noticed one of the human scientists looking troubled. "Dr. Parker," she asked, "what happens when the Crystallos return to their homeworld? Won't this all fall apart?" Naira's chimes took on a softer tone. "That's the most beautiful part of what we've discovered. We don't have to choose." Her form shifted, revealing the intricate patterns that now decorated her crystalline surface, patterns that matched the living architecture of Delta IX itself. "Through harmony, we can be in many places at once, connected through the networks we create. The real question," Ethan added, "isn't about maintaining control. It's about growing together." He activated the final display, showing hundreds of worlds linked by shimmering lines of crystalline energy. "Every planet that joins the network makes it stronger, more resilient. Just like every connection between species makes us all richer." As the delegation moved to examine the technical details, Naira drew close to Ethan. Her crystalline surface reflected his image, but now it showed something more, the possibility of two very different forms of life finding perfect harmony. "Did you ever imagine," she chimed softly, "when you were ordering those seeds, that you'd end up helping reshape the galaxy?" Ethan reached out, his hand meeting her crystalline one in a gesture that had become natural over their months together. Where they touched, light danced between them, a minor miracle of biology and physics that still filled him with wonder. "I was looking for a way to help life flourish in impossible places," he replied. "I just didn't expect to find it in the form of someone who taught me that nothing is truly impossible when you grow together." Around them, Station Delta IX hummed with the energy of countless living things, all growing in harmony. The crystalline network spread between the stars, carrying the promise of their discovery to worlds yet untouched. And in the heart of it all, a botanist and a being of living crystal had discovered that the most remarkable transformations aren't the ones we force, but the ones we nurture together. The galaxy was changing, one world at a time, guided by the simple truth they discovered: when life is free to find its own path, it creates something more beautiful than anyone could have planned. And sometimes, in the midst of that grand transformation, it creates love in forms that no one could have predicted.